getting older too, I've always said I don't want to be the old dude on stage rapping with a bunch of young guys, you know? Like, so I set this unrealistic cutoff of 30. When I turn 30, I'm not going to do shows anymore. Like, I'm not going to rap.
Right.
And it turns out, like, since I've turned 30, I've probably written some of the best material that I've done. So it's, kind of, it's like, oh, man. So, I don't know. We'll see, you know, how it all pans out. But I really enjoy my role as a producer in Maxilla Blue and playing the occasional show with them when I can. The solo material, it'll come when it comes. It's something that I just can't force. But even then, I make more instrumental stuff now than I do actual rapping. So,
I mean, I think that it's funny you say that. I mean, I'm in my 30s as well, so it's like, you know, but I think the more that hip-hop keeps going, I think the more you're going to see, you know, older guys continuing to be on the stage. And I think you're going to see less, you know, in our day, you know, you go to a show and there'd be like one gray-haired dude on the stage and you'd be like, wow, where'd that guy come from? He's like 40.
Right.
You know, whereas like I think like in the next couple years, you'll probably see a lot more shows where most of the people are in their 30s. You know, I mean, obviously there'll always be young people at the shows, hopefully, and, you know, performing, hopefully. But I do think it's going to be more and more mixed. I mean, you know, you look at a dude who's even like on a major label like Ghostface. I mean, you know, how old is he?
Yeah.
And Ghostface has got to be, you know, I mean, their first record came out when I was in high school. So that dude's got to be pushing 40.
Yeah, I mean, even if he was 20, then, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he'd have to be, you know, so, and it is what it is, you know. I mean, I personally wouldn't get that hung up on. I've talked to other people that have said that kind of thing before, and I'm just like, at this point now, I'm just like, man, if there are people that want to see me, or less than that, if I have the drive to continue to do music at 50, I will still do this shit at 50. I don't give a fuck, you know, and like, I don't know, that's just my 2 cents, but
yeah, I mean,
I there is like an uncomfortability sometimes, you know, because you are working with people that you can relate less to sometimes, you know what I mean? And I think that the good thing about the internet and the good thing about the scene today is you can sort of find other people in your zone, you know what I mean, that are you know, between like 28 and 35 and kind of understand where you come from.
Right.
And make music or buy music or what have you, and you can communicate with them and build those kind of relationships. But, you know, there is a sense too, like sometimes you'll talk to cats and you know, there's a respect there back and forth, and that gives you the foundation to be friends and to be collaborators. But at the same time, sometimes you feel like just that, you know, there's an irrelevance too sometimes to things that they'll say and things that you'll say, to, you know, vice versa.
Right.
So, I mean, I guess that's kind of more of the issue with that.
Yeah, I mean, I did see, since I've been out here, like, I got to see Gil Scott-Heron live, you know?
Oh,
and I mean,
okay.
he's an old man at this point, you know? So it's like, seeing him kind of open my eyes, like I want to be in that position where I can make music forever and it be somewhat timeless. But then, you know, I asked the question, is hip-hop a timeless art form, you know? Because I think about, you know, Rakim making a comeback.
Right.
I did not want to see that. Like, you know, just as a fan, like, I mean, I don't think he did a song that I really was into on his comeback run, you know? So it's kind of like, I don't want to be that guy.
I think there are good examples and bad examples, but I think that the further we go, the more good examples we get. You know what I mean? I mean, when I was in high school, and just getting out of high school, I remember comeback attempts from like, you know, Busy B and Kumo D and like real old school dudes. You know, they would put out records. You know, Houdini would try to come back out. And this is you're talking about like '95. You know, when cats from that era were just totally separated from what was going on in rap music at the time. And you know, I mean, the comeback attempts were pretty awful. You know, at least at that time, it seemed that way. It just seemed like, unfortunately, you know, rap had passed those guys by, you know, and then you get to like the second level of guys like Rakim and Run DMC who had mixed results, you know, in their comeback attempts. And then now there are no comeback attempts. Now it's like these guys just keep rapping, You know what I
they
mean?
just don't go away.
And so, and they don't go away. And I hear what you're saying. I think it's true. I'm just, putting that out there as a counterpoint. I just think that as we go on, I think, and obviously it'll go artist to artist. There will be people that will lose touch with their fan base and just not know what to create anymore. But, I think there are a lot more opportunities to kind of be that Gil Scott-Heron in rap music. And I definitely think as a genre, I would say, I think that it can lend itself just as much as anything else to being on stage long. I mean, if anything, I think that it probably lends itself way better than rock music. I mean, for me, I'm uncomfortable. A couple years ago, I saw a halftime show, the halftime shows are always in the middle of the Super Bowl. But they showed, and they've been showing some of the older acts, and I actually like seeing the older acts much more than, Janet Jackson and Breast. But, seeing...
Black Eyed Peas this year.
That's the problem. Now it's back to what it was, which sucks. But, I remember watching Rolling Stones, and I'm not a Rolling Stones fan that much, and I've never seen them live or anything. And I saw them at the halftime show, and it just felt very geriatric. It just felt bizarre to watch those guys kind of dancing and moving. So I think, rock music is way more awkward, to me, for older guys to be doing. So